Being an artist on the internet has made me get to know a lot of weird people. And this story is about one of them. Now, I won't say any names, and I would appreciate if people didn't try to look up anything. I will try to keep this story mostly, I guess, universal. I don't want to say very specific details. I don't want to say I guess, things that would allow people to search who this person is or whatever. I just want this to be a story that you hear in the background while you draw or do anything, mostly for the sake of listening to something. So here it goes. This happened already some time ago, and it started way back, but a guy came in and accused me of making one of my OCs be inspired by him. This OC was supposed to be the love interest of a yandere girl. He claimed that I was making myself to be the yandere and him to be the love interest because I was quote-unquote obsessed with him. This is very creepy from the beginning, especially because I'm married, and obviously I'm not married to that guy. However, he did a bunch of weird claims, and one of them was that I didn't really love my husband, or that my husband did not exist and I was just making him up to not be as alone, I guess. It was a very weird claim, and even now I'm still a little baffled that he even said something like that. Obviously, my husband is real, I love my husband, and that character had nothing to do with the other person. It was very weird to read that, I'll be honest. But of course, as many things have it, I remember this guy from a couple of years ago, and again, I just don't want to say any names, I don't want anyone to look him up. It's not exactly something nice to remember the entire context of it. However, I will give some of the juicy story details, mostly, again, for the sake of the story time. So yeah. Many years ago, I met a guy online. He seemed to be nice, he seemed to be charming, he seemed to have a large group of friends, a large group of people who followed him. I was an artist, and I was also doing a lot of stuff, and we just followed each other in social media, everything seemed nice and dandy. I really liked his content back in the day. It looks like everyone saw him as this kind of like mature person that knows what he's talking about, so I thought, hey, he seems very cool, he seems very nice. I remember that I was just like watching him from, I guess, the public view from the accounts, but we didn't really start to talk in private, except when I started to feel very bad. It was a time of my life where everything was very messy for me, and I remember saying that I was going to take a break from the internet for a bit. That didn't last long, but between the breaks that, I was taking, I received a message from this guy. The first message he ever sent to me in private. It was very flirty. It said something like, such a precious cookie shouldn't be so sad, or something like that. It was very weird, but I guess I just normalized it at the time. A lot of people will treat me very weirdly back in the day, so I don't know, I guess I just normalized it back then, which sounds gross, and it really makes me think back on everything that I actually went through back in the day, but it's not something worth getting into at the moment. The story is about something else. When it came to this guy, we started talking on private. He was like love bombing me and then ghosting me. I do admit that I eventually ended up falling a little bit for him, mostly because he reminded me of someone else that I used to care for, and that person that I used to care for sadly abused me, so I guess I was trying to rewrite my own bad experience with someone new. And yeah, I don't recommend anyone doing that. I've mentioned this in another video, but yeah, just don't do that. Things kept going on. He would just show a lot of like love bombing, both publicly and privately. He would do a lot of things for me that I didn't ask him to do, and a lot of them was kind of to show how much he cared about me, just to then ghost me. It was like constantly going in and out, in and out. I tried to move on from what I remember feeling from him, so like to go with other people, meet new people, the typical. Those relationships didn't work, and they they were not very good. I never really had many good interpersonal relationships in the past, mostly because, again, I normalized a lot of bad things. I remember being very confused a lot of the time if he was actually into me or if he was just maybe like this with everyone. I didn't really know what to think or make of it, so it was kind of just like there. I think that was kind of in the background. As I learned later, he was kind of into me too, but not exactly. It was very gross, and we're gonna get into that. I remember that he really liked lolly characters and overall characters that looked very cutesy, but that had this like sassy side to them. Even then, it was almost like he always wanted to be with people that represented purity. I remember he had a friend who was like this very cute girl, and he like both him and his like group of friends made videos about this. And they were like shipping him with her. So it was this like whole love thing, and it was supposed to be like a joke, but kind of yes, but kind of no. It was very weird. I don't think those videos ever got like that many views. But yeah, he was like so into this girl. He was constantly saying stuff like, "Oh, I'm going to colonize you," or something like that. It played a lot into like the history because these people were from different countries, and I don't know, it was very cringe, I'm sorry. Fast forward a little bit, I eventually got into a job position that made me have this like voice role to give to a character, kind of. It's more complicated than that, but I really don't want to get into that. It was very painful for me at the time, and I didn't really think about this at the time, but he was telling me that I was perfect for this character girl, that it was like a perfect role, a perfect job position, that I didn't need to change anything about myself to fit into the character because it was like I wasn't natural for it. And when you add the fact that this guy was kind of obsessed with a girl that was kind of like character almost, she was very like cutesy to the point that it was kind of fake. I think they did that on purpose to just take clips of her and to make her be like cutesy and stuff. Yeah, I don't think he was ever into me. I think he was into the idea of having this like perfect cute waifu to talk to. He was very into anime, and it was just, I think about it now and I'm like, holy shit, that was so weird. Why did I even allow someone like that in my life? Holy moly. Things didn't stop from there. A lot of, he would constantly just say weird things that made me think that maybe he wanted more, he wanted less. I do believe that there was a lot of external factors that made me want to be inside that kind of relationship thing. Again, he was constantly pushing, pulling. It was very bad, and there you have me with zero self-esteem and a lot of mental issues, trying to find any place that would accept me. So yeah, nice they're going there, young soft. Anyways, one of the things that I remember recently from all of that happened is that we used to talk through one of the chat sites that allows for stickers, you know, kind of like the WhatsApp stickers. I remember I really had some stickers that I particularly like, which was about like an emo cat. I don't know, I found them to be cute, and the artists upload them for free, so you know, I just used them all the time. I was the stickers girl in the chat. Wouldn't you know it, this guy, the very same person, took the emo cat stickers and commissioned an artist, I believe, to replace the stickers, to just redraw them, or I believe to even trace them to be exactly the same faces that I liked, but with his OC, with his character. So he started to spam me these stickers, so kind of be like, oh look, you like this sticker, now I'm in the stickers too. Jesus, man, it was very weird. It was very weird. And I'm very happy that I got away from that relationship. Eventually, I started to heal. I started to get surrounded by people who cared about me. That time in my life was extremely dark. Many things were happening at the same time. That guy was insanely abusive to me and to other people. It was just a whole lot of mess. And even in real life, things were not looking good for me, so I guess I just took whatever. Fast forward, a lot of shit happens. I eventually do end up saying that I used to have a crush on this guy, and that, you know, he was like constantly pushing and pulling, you know. He did learn a lot about me, mostly on my weakness moments, and in moments where I felt like it could be safe to talk about some stuff. I won't deny that I did say a lot of public stuff back in the day, but yeah, even then, I don't think anyone should be using someone's like low point as a way to punish them. So what happened later is that he did exactly that. He took my low moments, he changed the story, and now that I have an OC that is kind of this like emo boy, it's not really emo, he's just very depressed. He just said, oh, I have an emo character, so she made this character based on me because she's obsessed with me, and her husband is fake and he doesn't exist. He said something like, I was imagining a husband because no one would actually love me. That was insane. And then when someone told him that yes, my husband did exist, he was like, oh, but your husband doesn't really love her. Or like she doesn't really love her husband, which is weird. It's just weird. So yeah, this guy was constantly on my tail and then pretended it to be the other way around. He was just been following everywhere I go for several years now. And admittedly, it is weird. It is just one of those things that I wish I could have avoided in my youth. Well, the more you learn, and at least I'm in a happier place now. It's a bit of a shorter video, but I hope you guys liked it, and maybe, you know, if you want to stay to listen to some of my crazy story times or whatever, I always have this side channel where I just publish random stuff. It's easier to make than the average video, and while I'm working on my game project, I also want to, you know, maybe even get to monetize this channel too. I want to upload videos on the main channel now, but a bit more produced, I guess you could say, about game development. But yeah, for now, this is it, and yeah, see you in the next one. Bye!